sober, busy living sober, busy living sober. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's Christmas. Woo, it's Christmas Day. And I am so excited to have Erin and Mary on from it's called Second Chance. Second Chance in what's it Second Chance
Second Chance
It's
Initiative.
Initiative. I wrote it down. I
Yes.
couldn't even read the word, you guys. I'm like, hello,
Okay.
initiative. But we're going to call it Second Chance.
Mhm.
And I was so lucky that I went to Taste of Recovery in Delray Beach, Florida, and that was back in October, correct? And I walked in, and there was Erin with this big table, like a big table, the banquet table, with all these goodies on it, and with all these women. And she was so cute that I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And she gave me a little bit. I'm going to let her tell us more today about what they do. But I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have her on our show because they are helping women that have our disease.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it's such a journey, this recovery thing. And I feel like today, more than ever, that women are able to come out and talk about it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Because you think about it, I just had somebody on my show whose mother will have like 40 years. My sponsor has 40
Wow.
years. And
Wow.
40 years ago, it was like a boys' club. Like women
Yes,
were
correct.
not. And both of my grandmothers were alcoholics, right? I mean, and they never, for whatever, it wasn't in then, right? They were born in,
Yeah.
my one grandma was born in 1913 and the other one was born probably around the same exact time. And, you know, they never could find the solution.
Mhm.
And I find that that's the hardest part, is that we think that we're alone for so long, but we
Correct.
aren't alone, are we?
No.
So should we start with Erin first? All right, we're going to start with Erin
Sure.
first. So Erin just celebrated 1 year of continuous
Yes.
which I think is incredible. And will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been quite a journey to get to that 1 year. And in the past, I kind of hated that. You know, I wanted to find the solution, but now I'm so grateful for it because it's allowed me to relate to so many more women and share my story with them and say, as long as you get back up, I didn't do anything special. I just followed whatever the people who came before me told me to do, one day at a time. And I stayed in the middle of the solution and my meetings. So there's nothing magical about what I did, but it took me a little bit. And so I'm so proud of the 1 year because I wasn't sure I was ever going to get there. And so a little bit about my journey, and I'll tie it into what brought me to Second Chance. Kind of in and out of treatment for about 3 years, leading up to 2019. I had gotten a DUI. I hadn't worked for 9 months. I was kind of just stumbling around, living in hotels, not real, and they were really motels, if we're being honest. And thought, okay, I'm going to try another treatment place, and I came down to Florida. So in the middle of 2019, came down here for treatment. When I wrapped that up, I moved for the first time into a sober living house. The requirement there was that you had to get a job. And I was dead set on going back to financial services. So again, still in my, like, I know what's best for me. I'm going to do recovery my way. Nobody's going to tell me to do anything different. So as I was applying to go back to financial services, I learned about Second Chance Initiative. And I thought, okay, I know it's easier to get a job when you have a job. So this will keep me busy. It'll put me amongst some other women in recovery. I'll do this while I apply to go back to be a financial advisor. So I was with Second Chance for about 6 months before I went back to finance. Learned a lot of painful lessons when I went back to corporate. I mean, I just wasn't ready. I didn't have the sober time underneath my belt. I didn't have the support system. I wasn't listening to suggestions. I was doing it my way, and stayed with finance for about 2.5 years before it really just became clear that I was doing this for all the wrong reasons. I was really trying to appease my family, living life for others and not myself. So I had stayed connected with our founder, Keely Copeland. And at the end of 2022, last year, I had the opportunity to come back as a contractor. And I was working with our board president, Chris Malfitano, on special projects. And when the executive director position came open at the beginning of this year, he asked me to consider that. And in March of this year, I was named the executive director of the organization. So it's talk about like a full circle God moment. I mean, I really had to be humble and frankly broken to say, okay, my way isn't working. I've got to do something different. I've got to take the suggestions. And when I started doing that, that's when the real freedom of sobriety opened up. So yeah, so that's my journey with Second Chance and
Oh
recovery.
my gosh, for one, if you're not watching me and you're just listening, I just wanted to cry because I could
Yeah.
it just is amazing. Now, where are you originally from?
I actually grew up in Las Vegas, of all
Wow.
places. Yeah, yeah. And so a big piece of my addiction is moving, just constantly looking for that geographical fix. And it's going to be better if I go here. And it just, so I've lived all over, but really my childhood was in Vegas, which has its own challenges for any child growing up there, let alone a female. And but after high school, I've been mostly on the East Coast. So,
And so, was there addiction in your family at all?
not diagnosed or self-proclaimed. Like I can see it without a doubt. I can see it. I did have one cousin who passed away from alcoholism, and I was in the depths of mine and was not telling anybody. So I remember going to his funeral and I was like packing little mini bottles of vodka so that I could drink on the side. And it just never occurred to me, here we are burying my cousin from this disease. Erin, you might have an issue. Nope. It still took me a couple more years to admit it from that point.
Well, it sounds like you had a powerhouse kind of job. I mean, working in finance and being a financial advisor. Were you in New York City working?
I actually wasn't. So I've had an interesting journey. My first career was in retail management, kind of retail planning. And so that took me to New York quite a bit for like fashion markets and things like that, which was really fun. But it's also a heavy, like going out and socializing and drinking. And so that really perpetuated some of my drinking. And then I was a financial advisor actually in North Carolina. And I predominantly stayed there when I was in that industry.
That's a huge banking area. Huge, huge,
Yes,
huge.
yes,
Yeah, all the major banks are there. Because it
Mhm.
sounds like you were pretty much a powerhouse, right? Like you were doing all the like perfect check. I always say, like,
Mhm.
when you're growing up, especially as a woman being our age, is there's this checklist, right? You're like
Yes.
that I always say there's
Mhm.
these big people. I don't know
Yep.
where I don't know where it is. Is it Oz? Are we gonna finally go and be like, oh, there it is? It's all just
there they
BS.
are.
And there they are. But
Yeah.
it's so hard when you're out there and you're making this like, look, I'm making the
Yeah.
dough. I'm
Yeah.
doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I got my
Right.
my great suit on. I got my
Yep.
my briefcase.
Yes.
I got it going on. And that like it's hard
It is.
to ask for help when you're like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
it perpetuates the belief that you're okay because I'm paying my bills. I have it all together. My friends, especially when I was in the retail management side of like the corporate retail world, my friends thought I was living the life
Right.
because, oh my gosh, you're going to New York, you're getting to see the fashion before it comes out in stores. And the pain that I was in, like you put on a mask because that's what us women learn to do, right?
right. And that's what we're trying to change. I feel
Yes.
like it's so exciting that you guys were doing this and we're putting this out right before, 2024. And
Yes.
it's all about the light, I feel like,
Mm.
and sharing with each other and not because women are not always nice to each other, are they?
No.
No.
No. And I don't know why.
I don't know. It's that
I
competitive society.
But we need to change it because we need to
do.
come together.
Yes.
And,
Agreed.
that's what busy living sober is all about. Like, we got to get busy living sober and being there for
Yep.
each other in a way that we're bringing each other up, not bringing each other down.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think that you're a warrior, you're a total warrior, Erin, because it
She
takes
is.
a lot, and chutzpah, or I could go into other terms that aren't as pretty as chutzpah, like I'd say balls or whatever, but
Yeah.
it take a lot of those
That's
to be
right.
able to say, I'm finally going to change my life
Mm-hmm.
because alcohol is such a part of society, especially in
is.
corporate America, and changing that and saying, you know what, time out.
Yeah.
I am still a rock star,
Yeah.
but I am allergic to this.
Correct.
It's an allergy. When I went to the 12-step rooms of
Mhm.
Alcoholics Anonymous, and I read in the doctor's opinion, like, oh, you have an allergy. I'm like, holy shit. It's not just I'm a
Right,
morally
it's-
deficient person, right?
Yes.
True.
Yeah,
Or a
it's-
weak person because
Or
Right.
a weak person.
'cause you can't get
Exactly.
this. Right.
You can get this.
Yes.
So Mary, where are you
Yes.
from? Where are you from?
Okay. Well, originally Brooklyn, New York. So
Okay.
New York City girl in the building. But then I lived in a bunch of different places, Toronto, Canada. But I spent about 25 years in Boston, Massachusetts. And
Okay.
that's where I was living, before I moved to Delray. But so my story is, I like to say late in life alcoholic, only because I didn't really have a history of alcoholism early on. But in my 40s, due to some stresses that were going on, I was going through a divorce. I had started a business with my best friend that got super successful. I was raising 2 young girls. And I started to rely on alcohol more and more than I ever have. And before I knew it, I was drinking every day. All of a sudden, I remember my friend saying, let's go get some wine in the middle of the day. And that was something I never did, but I did it. And then I started to realize that as this stress and pressure is building, and alcohol takes the edge off of this, somehow I can function a little bit. And at some point, I crossed over the line into alcoholism. And I was even telling Erin the other day, what may take some people 25 years to accomplish in alcoholism, it did it in 5 to 7 years. So treatment centers, detoxes, you name it. I packed it all into my 40s pretty much. And I also used to like to say, well, my alcoholism didn't really affect my work. I was okay, even though I was totally, drunk through meetings. I mean, just things, sneaking the small alcohol bottles, whatever it was. And I actually went on like that for a while, until the jig was up. My girls caught me with empty bottles. You have to go to treatment. And, it was a blessing because I was lost. I was alone. I was isolated. I would look in the mirror and not recognize myself. Groundhog Day, all these things that, we all, when Erin shares her story, she'll say something and I'll be like, yeah, I did the same thing. But while you're doing it, you don't think someone else is sneaking little alcohol bottles somewhere. You think you're the only loser that's doing that. So for me, the way that alcoholism, although I wasn't fired from a job, I had a huge hole in my resume for all those years. I was in and out of treatment, trying to stay sober. And once I sobered up, I did make a conscious decision not to work for a while and just really focus on my sobriety, meetings all the time. I did that for 2 years. But then I thought, you know what, it's time to go back. So I put together my resume, but I was just feeling really insecure about this 6-year gap. And how do I explain that? And people wanted current, I'm a copywriter. They wanted to see current things published, and I just didn't have it. So when I moved to Delray, and this is honestly how I found out about Second Chance, my sister was at an Al-Anon meeting that I had gone to previously, and someone announced that Second Chance Initiative is hiring. And I wasn't really sure, hiring what, but I went on the website. I looked it up. It seemed, when I watched the video, I was blown away, really moved by what was happening here. So I applied for a job and I got a call. I came in and interviewed. I went through the training program. So I learned how to make mugs, tumblers. I learned how to do Photoshop. I learned a lot of things. But I also, told the hiring manager and Erin about my background and, the skill set that I had and said, you know, at whatever time, that's something that I'd like to sort of move into here. And I was lucky enough to be the recipient of a champion position. So that's created for women, who have worked here, but maybe have a certain skill set. And a few months ago, I became the community awareness and public relations supervisor. So I'm so excited and happy. And it's such fulfilling work when you're working for an organization that is doing good things and helping people. And at this stage of my life and my career, that's what I want to be a part of.
I absolutely love it. I have
Yeah.
so many questions and so many things I want to say. And when you see me, I'm just making notes because that's what I have to do. I have one of those menopause brains. So I'm always like, oh my gosh, I gotta write
Yes, I hear you. Yeah.
So did you both come to Delray for treatment and came here because of the community, or you both did? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I had gotten sober in Florida 8 years ago, and I knew what the recovery community was like in Delray. And my sister lived here, so I didn't want to just move to a new city where that's not good for my sobriety, where I don't know one person. So that was a part of why. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. So it's so, for one, I think you both are warriors. And I think that, telling your stories here today and knowing that, for one, Mary, you're a mom and I'm a mom too. I have
Oh,
3 kids and,
yep.
I got so, and my sobriety, I ended up coming in I came in by myself because I had no other things to do. I would start drinking at 13. I didn't get sober till I was 37. I
Mhm.
got divorced because my husband drank too much. I have 3 kids and I was like, I have to stop. And nobody was paying for me to go to treatment. So I ended up just getting a seat, I
Yeah.
went to the rooms and
Yeah.
it's given me this life that's beyond my wildest dreams. And I love to hear that you both have managed, and your stories are a little bit different, but they're
Yes.
also stories of women that, like, you both had a car in the driveway. You
Mhm.
both had a roof over your
Absolutely.
head.
Yep.
Yes, we
And
did.
you both were successful business
Mhm.
people. I mean,
Mhm.
and that is really a huge, I just have to say, it's amazing that you're
Thank you.
both here to tell your stories. So
Yeah.
many people can relate to that because sometimes in society they think that we have to get to this rock bottom that's like
Mhm.
Meg Ryan in one of those movies, or Sandra
Yes.
Bullock,
Right.
or
Yep.
somebody who's on jumping on, in the gutters, right? Or living on the
Correct.
streets and has lost everything. But that is neither of your stories or my story. And we
Right.
still decided that we wanted to no longer have a relationship with alcohol and we wanted to learn these amazing steps that we have
Yeah.
and this opportunity, which number 12 is giving back, right? And we are
Correct.
in that time of the year anyway.
Mhm.
So Second Chance was started by, who was it started by? And tell me the story about Second Chance.
Yes. So our fabulous founder, she is such a blessing, and just such a warm soul. Her name is Keely Copeland. And she came into recovery. She had a DUI, had spent time in treatment, and the end result was she had this gap in her resume too. And if she were here telling this story, she would say that a woman named Leslie Powers gave her a second chance. She
Mm.
was Leslie looked at her resume, and Keely said she had no business getting the job that Leslie gave her, and yet she got it. And it was instrumental in Keely getting her self-confidence back, her self-esteem, establishing
Mhm.
her sobriety. And Keely's been sober since. So she made a personal commitment that when she could figure out a way to pay it forward, that she wanted to start an organization that was going to do that. And she had no idea what that was going to be. And then through what I'll say is really a God thing, she was over at Lynn University. They have an entrepreneurial lab, and Keely's a fabulous writer. I just imagine her busy writing one of her blog posts,
Mhm.
and somebody encouraged her to meet a man named Chris Malfitano. They shook hands. He gave her his business card and said, call me. And she did. She picked up the phone and said, I want to figure this out. And the story goes that they had a whiteboard at Lynn University and were just brainstorming on ideas. So the organization originally started with handcrafted pottery mugs. So on a wheel, teaching women how to do this. And I couldn't imagine trying to teach that over and over to a group of alcoholic and, addict women, like, okay, now you're just going to gently form it. They quickly realized that there had to be a better way and found a process called sublimation, which is what we use today. And it's taking a high heat and infusing ink onto our products. And that's how the nonprofit was born, was, the two of them recognizing this need and saying, we can open up the doors and provide this safe space for women who need to get back on their feet.
Right.
And it's really considered a stepping stone for community, for the next opportunity, for future community employment.
And how many years ago was that?
So that was in 2018 that they sat down together. And then we officially launched our Etsy shop in 2019. So we're celebrating 5 years, which is pretty cool.
Baby.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And so tell me this. So if you come to Florida and you're in Delray and you are in a halfway house or you're in a treatment center, so do you take people while they're still in treatment, or do they have to finish a 28-day program? I mean, how does that work?
We actually don't have any requirements except sobriety. We ask that women are every day that they show up, they're choosing to show up sober. Mm-hmm. We do generally ask if they're working with a sponsor, if they've gone through a program. We'd love to hear them share that they're plugged into meetings, but none of those are a requirement as long as they tell us that they're committed to showing up to work sober. Mm-hmm. If a treatment center, so a lot of times women will join us when they're in IOP, so that final step down, and before they moved into a halfway house, they'll start to look for a job, and they can just go to our website and apply, and we bring them in for a hands-on interview. Mm-hmm. It's really open hiring. As long as we have a job, we have open arms. Mm-hmm.
And how many people do you have working right now, Mary, at the same time? How many people do you keep employed at one period of time?
Well, right now we're in the midst of our busy season. So we have quite a few of our regular employees as well as seasonal employees. The exact number, I think Erin probably knows more than I do.
Right now we're at 15 program participants. Wow. So that's women in recovery. We have big goals though, Elizabeth, big goals. So one of the unique things about our organization is that when a woman says, okay, I'm ready to go to my next opportunity, we celebrate that, right? She's graduated, she's ready to go. And so what we would like to get to is 20 part-time roles year round for us. And so for example, this year during the summer months, we were at about 11 or 12 women. Right. And we want that to be 20 year round. Mm-hmm. And that's really dictated by our sales, which is an important part of what we do, because our sales are what allow us to teach the women and have work to do. So Mary mentioned Photoshop or our sublimation process. So
customer service, ordering. I always say it's effectively learning everything about running a successful e-commerce business. It really is, every aspect of it.
Yeah, I love that.
It's amazing skills. Yeah, to take
that you can take anywhere, right?
Yes, absolutely. Correct. I didn't know how to do Photoshop before I came here, and it was something I wanted to learn for years, and now I know how to do it.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's incredible. And like Erin said, the way that we continue to hire more women is by people buying our products. The more we sell, the more people support us in that way by going to our Etsy shop and buying our products, the more women we can hire.
So I want to ask you, so when somebody's in treatment, and I'm gonna give you a scenario. So somebody's daughter or someone's spouse or someone's just friend is here in Florida and you know they're stepping down.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I know that, and step down, by the way, for people who don't know, means when you are going to the next level. So you're
Right.
from being like, you go from treatment to IOP
Yes.
to going
Yep.
into, going to halfway house. And one of the major requirements for most halfway houses is getting a job, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Mhm.
So they come in and they say, okay, we're going to give you a chance. And do they make some money? Do they make a
Yes.
salary?
This is
Okay.
Yes.
paid employment.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's-
That's
it's-
awesome.
It is, of course. And there's structure, there's routine, there's all these things that really benefit any time in recovery, really. And we have absolutely watched women come in, in the early days of
Mhm.
just, you're still basically withdrawing from everything and you're down and your confidence is shot. And after working here 4 weeks, 6 weeks, the light comes back into our eyes again. It really does. We've
Mhm.
witnessed it and it's a miracle.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is the blessing of working here.
It is. It's the
Is
blessing of
women
working
who
here.
won't even look at you in the eye,
Yeah.
and 4-6 weeks later
Yeah.
will have a conversation with you, and that
Absolutely.
will just tug at my heart,
Me too.
for as long as I am
Of course,
here.
because we both remember being in that same
Yeah.
state and coming out of it. So it's just a beautiful thing to watch. I get choked up thinking about it.
Well, and I can tell you that, I mean, I've watched enough people, right, going in and like knowing that you have a place to go
Yeah.
and work, because so many people feel, as you just mentioned, so down out, like a loser, like they haven't worked in a long time. They've been addicted to whatever they're addicted to, whatever drug that is. And knowing that they can go somewhere and see your smiling faces, that must be so great. That's such a huge gift too.
Uh-huh.
And walking in and knowing that they're going to feel love until they love themselves, which is kind of the
Correct.
whole message of the 12 steps is, right? Like, we will love you
Right.
till you love yourselves. So do you guys have any examples to show us right now, just of some of your products you have? Because
Absolutely. We're
I'm so
ready.
excited.
Yeah,
Because you guys,
absolutely.
this is a way of, you can buy something from their store. It's called on Etsy. It is called Second Chance, but her Second Chance. So HER,
Correct.
the number 2,
Yes.
ND,
Yeah.
Chance, just
Correct.
like Elizabeth
Exactly.
Chance. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
and we're gonna have the link, by the way, and I'm gonna tell you guys, oh my gosh, how adorable is that?
Yes. So
Oh.
the fun thing is that the hair can be personalized, the skin tone, the body type, obviously the different cats. So you have these avatars that you can design so that it matches you to, or a friend or your sister. And then on the other side is a design that kind of pulls it all together. So that's
Oh my
one
gosh, that is
example.
adorable. And you can, all
Yeah.
you have to do is go online and say, pick everything you
Yes,
want.
you
And
pick
oh
the
my
hair
gosh,
of the
I love
person.
that.
Right.
It
right.
makes it very personal and very thoughtful gift.
So here's home is where mom is. Now this one does have, we do offer cocktails because we recognize that on Etsy, our customer base, not everybody even knows that we're a nonprofit that is creating jobs for women in recovery. So here you can specialize or personalize, again, the hair color, what she's wearing, choose what's in her hands. And it can be a shopping bag. It can
A
be,
Starbucks cup,
yes,
a water bottle.
there's
But
all
let's
kinds
face
of,
it, just because I don't drink alcohol, I still like my pretty Waterford. Let's be
Yes.
serious, okay?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like to drink out of a pretty glass. I am like,
Exactly.
I have my Pellegrino in a wine
She's
glass with a
fancy.
lemon. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like fancy
that's
still.
yeah.
And this year we also introduced tumblers.
Oh,
realizing
so
that not everybody's
cute.
into mugs, so we have these really nice stainless steel tumblers that can also be personalized.
Oh, I
Using
love
your
that.
jacket.
Hold it
Oh
back a
my
little bit,
gosh,
but
I
yeah.
love that. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. It's
Yeah.
so funny because I just heard, I had somebody, I actually had a comedian on, and she said, and you guys might find this funny too, because when we were growing up, did anybody drink water? No, we drink
No.
Diet Coke. And it's
Yeah.
like now, that's what everybody carries around, these damn things of
I know.
water.
I know.
We
true.
grew up not drinking water ever. And that's
No,
like
correct.
mandatory. Those are so adorable, you guys. What great
Yeah.
designs. I love your
Yeah.
mission. I just think it's amazing to give back to moms and to women out there and to
Yeah.
know that you don't have to be alone and
Right.
you can get a job and you
Yes.
can be doing something that you're also creative, which is amazing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In a very supportive environment. You know, in addition to training, we have a good grub social club on Thursdays where we all eat lunch together, wellness works where we do different workshops. So it's a very supportive environment. There's a meditation in the morning before work starts. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Recovery friendly for sure.
Exactly.
and we need that today. I
Yes.
especially think that, a lot of people during COVID, it was so isolating, for so many people and so many
Mhm.
drank a lot. And,
Course.
as women, we think, oh my God, I'm a loser. I'm a this, I'm a that. And in reality, we are not losers whatsoever. We just
Right.
have a disease and alcohol hits our lips and, becomes a
That's it.
Christmas tree, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it doesn't define us as human beings. And
Yeah.
we really need, and I love what you guys are doing. As I mentioned in the beginning, like meeting Erin and seeing their products are so adorable.
Thank you.
I just love what you're doing. And here in Delray Beach, they have a brick and mortar store. So you can actually physically go to their store. Where's your store located if somebody's listening here in Florida?
Yeah. So we're actually in the
Boca.
Boca Design Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so right next to Delray, right? We're
Right.
pretty close to the border. And so we're actually in an open warehouse. So if you stop by, you'll be able to meet some of the women and see the production actually happen.
Mhm.
If you schedule some time, we can probably even do a little tour and work through the design together and maybe able to create it right then. So it's a lot of fun. We're very blessed. We
Oh,
started in a tiny little conference room that somebody was letting us borrow, and now we're in this fabulous design center where I like drive in here and I'm like, wow, how did we get here? And yes, so we're very blessed.
now I'm going to throw something out here, and this might scare you guys, but do you do corporate gifts for
That's what we were
Ah.
going to bring that up next and
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
appeal to the business owners out there who might
Yep.
be looking to do logo mugs,
Correct.
employee appreciation, onboarding packages. Erin has one to show an
Yeah.
example of.
So we had somebody that recently purchased, I don't know if the glare might be, but it says, this is what an awesome employee looks like.
Oh,
So they're giving this out as a Christmas appreciation gift. And then on the other side is their logo. So
Oh,
they sent
so
that
cute.
to us and said, we want this to be on a navy 11-ounce mug. And we worked with them on the design. And we have special pricing for that because generally those are bulk orders, they're bigger quantities.
Mhm.
And so, yes, we do corporate gifting and promotional items.
Exactly. And if you're a company out there and why not order high quality products from us, a nonprofit social enterprise? I think that looks pretty good for the company as well. When we can produce things just as well, as other places out there, it's a good move, I think, to go with us.
And our
I
price is
think-
really competitive.
Yeah,
Really competitive
Very
because
competitive.
yeah.
exactly.
Well, I just love that you're helping women and that you're bringing
So do
them
we.
together and you're raising them up, right? You're
Yes, for
raising them
sure.
up because
Yeah.
I know time takes time, right? And
Yes.
in the
Absolutely.
beginning, it's really that old stories and tapes of yesterday
Oh man.
just stick there
They
for
do.
so long. And you're like, I want them just to go away. And if you're
Yes.
busy and you're being creative for one, you're
Very
not
true.
thinking about it, then you
Mhm.
actually get a reward, which is a paycheck.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then you can actually learn what to do with the paycheck rather than buying what we used to buy.
Correct.
We can buy,
Yes.
pay for rent and pay for food and gifts
Yep.
for others. You guys
Yeah.
have beautiful things. Your
Thank
mission is
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I just feel so blessed that you guys were here on Christmas Day and we're here to
So do we.
share with
Thank you.
everybody what
Yeah.
you guys are doing to help other women out there today and helping them build, the moms out there and your
Yes.
employees that are
Absolutely.
out there and
Yep.
Mhm.
your kids out, your daughters and your nieces
Yeah.
and everything else. It's such an honor to have you guys here and to have met you guys. And I thank you so, so much.
Thank
And you
you so
guys,
much.
thank you. And if you guys want a second chance, you guys, everything's going to be in the description. So you can just click
Yeah.
it and go right there on my website. If you go to elizabethchance.com. And also if you go to my YouTube channel, it will be in the description there as well. You might have to highlight it and move it over to your little area where you click it. But on my website, you can find everything at elizabethchance.com or Busy Living Sober. And until next time, everybody, keep getting busy.
Yes.
Bye.
Great. Bye.